Shri Ganesha Sharada Gurubhyo Namaha Sinduraruna Vigraham Trinayanam Manikyamaulispurat Taranayaka Shekharam Smitamukhim Apinamakshoruham Panibhyam Alipurna Ratna Chashakam Raktotpalam Vibhratim Saumyam Ratna Ghadastha Rakta Charanam Dhyayet Param Ambikam. Welcome to all for this session on Lalitopakhyanam. In the previous part of this story, we heard about how Sati, who had left her body during in the Yagashala of Daksha Prajapati, finally had reached Himavanta's home and became his daughter, and she grew up to be a youthful. And in the meantime, her father, Himavanta, was thinking about whom to give her hand in the marriage because none of the devatas would be a good match for her. In the meantime, Narada came down and told that only Maheshwara is a perfect match for her because she is the Sati, the wife of Shiva in the reincarnation. So she should now marry Shiva, and the union of Shiva and Parvati is essential for the benefit of the world because their son Kumara will be the only one who will be able to slain or kill the demon Taraka, for which all the gods and all the devatas, all the munis are trying to find a way to bring Shiva and Parvati together. So Narada advised him to take his daughter Parvati to the Stanvasrama where Shiva is performing the deep austerity in order to win his heart. So Himawan took his daughter Uma along with her maids Jaya, Vijaya, and Sushila. Thus, when Himavan approaches Stanvashrama along with his daughter and her maids, Himavan saw many crores of Pramathaganas protecting the area commencing from the foot of the Kailasha peak. The approaches on all sides were teeming with beautiful trees bearing fragrant flowers or tempting fruits and nuts. The surrounding atmosphere was filled with peace and calm, and the scenic beauty was aesthetically marvelous. There was amity and natural friendliness among all types of animals roaming there, and the birds sang with freedom while parrots spoke the many names of Shiva as if in simulated japa. Under every tree and arbor was a devotee of Lord Shiva deep in meditation with half closed eyes, and their bodies shone besmeared with sacred bhasma. By and by they neared the top of Kailash, where Shiva, blue throated and fair and wearing the Chandrachuda, sat in deep samadhi. No woman was to be seen anywhere around the area. Arriving at last at the ashrama of Shankara, Himavan detained Uma and her maids at the outer gate and went inside. Reaching the outer door leading to the inner courtyard, he saw Nandishwara, the chief of Shiva Bhaktas. With great respect, Himavan communicated his mission to him and sought his permission to approach Lord Shiva. Well pleased, Nandishwara went in and stood by his lord with a view to commune with him inwardly. As Lord Shiva opened his eyes, he worshipped him with very great reverence and informed him that the Lord of Himalayas was waiting in the outer courtyard, desiring his audience. Being still in the midst of purpose, Maheshwara made a sign of assent with his eyebrows. Nandishwara went out immediately and sent Himavan into his lord's presence. After prostrating himself before the Lord so that 8 parts of his body touched the ground in humility, this is called as Ashtanga Namaskara. So he, the Himavan stood up and spoke thus in great reverence: O Lord of the 14 worlds, You are you are the abode of all light. The very thought of your sacred feet, is sufficient to purify one from all the sin. To have your darshan thus is the fruit of great austerity only. Without appealing to you and pleasing you, how can one desires to be fulfilled? Your devotee is certain to have all his many desires granted, and more so. I have sought your holy presence with a personal request to you. Listen, O Lord, to my humble petition. My daughter Uma has no other desire than serving your lotus feet. She worships you every moment in her heart. She now desires to be near you so as to attend to all your comforts in person. Kindly grant this boon to her, be it a man or a maiden, whether intelligent or not. Everyone seeks liberation only through service of your holy feet. Therefore, O Lord, be merciful and allow my daughter Uma to have this opportunity of serving you. She will be no obstruction to your tapasya. On the contrary, she will attend to all that is necessary for its smooth continuance. She is at the moment waiting near the outer gate with her handmaids awaiting your permission to enter and start on your service and worship. He will be your servant to take care of all ashram and household duties. He will gather flowers and make garlands of them. She will bring fresh water and purify it for use. She will carry out any other work at your behest. If it will be your will, I shall fetch her in along with her maids and set them to your service. Pleased with Himawan, Lord Shiva granted his request and permitted Parvati and her maids to serve him as they pleased. With great joy, Himavan brought his daughter Uma and her handmaids inside, setting them to their different tasks, returned to his home with a light and happy heart. Parvati and her handmaids made themselves very helpful and almost indispensable. This labor of love ever culminated in the crowning glory of the darshan of Lord Shiva in contemplation. Parvati would fetch fresh flowers and string them into garlands. She would clean and sprinkle the place of worship with sandal paste. He would fill vessels with purified water and place them near Lord Shiva for his use. She would prepare akshata. Akshata is basically a vermilion cum turmeric smeared grains of rice. The rice grains which are smeared with vermilion and turmeric. It's basically called as akshata. So she would prepare akshata for worship. She would draw auspicious diagrams of varied designs with colored powders or flour. It's called as rangoli. She would fetch pure water for Tarpana. She would collect from Mandakini many a lotus of golden hue and hand it gently to Maheshwara during Archana. She would collect kusha grass and samidhas. These are sticks which are selected for specific sticks which are used during the Homa, and hand over to Shiva with great reverence while he performed the Homa. Thus passed day after day for Parvati in her Lord's service, but never once did Maheshwara lift up his eyes to hers. Means he never even looked at her, for he was ever in Nirvikalpa Samadhi with half shut eyes, his mind beyond the pairs of opposites, and his consciousness in blissful unity of Samadhi in the Advaitic realm beyond all gunas. While Lord Shiva was thus lost to the world of duality and relativity, Tarakasura, who could be subdued by Shiva's son alone and no other, was jubilant over the thought that Shiva would never leave his Samadhi state so as to be able to marry Parvati, much less to beget a child to slay him. He therefore became very bold and held sway over the three worlds. He drove away Indra and his devas from their Swargaloka and assumed all their powers. Thus dethroned and divested of all their powers, Indra and the Lokapalakas approached Brahma seeking his help. Thus, in this part of the story, we have seen how Himawan brought his daughter Gauri to the Stanvasrama and made Shiva to accept her as his mate who will going to help him in all his tapasya. Though Gauri or Parvati was doing a dedicated personal service to Shiva, Shiva had never once even looked at her because he was always in the Nirvikalpa Samadhi. In the meantime, hearing that the Shiva continued to remain in Samadhi even though Parvati was by his side, Tarakasura became very happy, very jubilant, and he started troubling everybody across the three worlds. And he even attacked Swargaloka and driven away all the devatas from there, occupying their power. And then all the Lokapalas under Indra's leadership approached Brahma seeking his help. Namaste Sharada Devi Kashmira Puravasini Swamaham Prarthaye Nityam Vidya Danancha Dehime. Goodbye.